Hello, this is Z with a iPad 3 and also iPad 2 back frame and digitizer replacement guide. This is a real-world video, and you can see that this iPad 3's corner, which is identical to an iPad 2 back frame almost, is very impacted. Here's a close-up microscopic view of the impacted corner, and I'll go through putting in a new digitizer after the corner is repaired. Now, the thing is, there are several good videos on taking the digitizer off, so I don't need to go over that. You can see that the upper right corner is bent back right there. And I've taken the glass off, cleaned it off, and we're going to go into right now taking off the plastic bezel, that wraparound bezel around the digitizer, which is also bent in, as you can see. And there's the corner. That's a better view of the corner that's bent in. So I will go over how we're going to take a metal forming tool, these end nipper metal pliers, and bend that corner back. The back of the iPad 2 and the iPad 3 corners are aluminum, and they're not hard to bend back. You just have to be careful, and it's kind of a bending and snipping action. So here you see the corner with the plastic pulled back, and I am going to now attempt to bend this corner back. As you can see, I'm pulling back on the plastic bezel, and kind of a little snip action right there, pulling it back. Be careful, don't put too much pressure, because that's going to cut into or snip off the entire corner. You want to leave some of that there so it protects the new digitizer. Even 1/100 of an inch, once you want to put new digitizer, even 1/100 of an inch, having the back frame bend in will shatter that corner of the new glass, and I've unfortunately seen it happen. So you just have to be careful and make sure it's bent out. Okay, so now that we have bent it out a little bit, this is a dental tool. I like dental tools. They're very handy, and this is just a little cleaning action, and I'm also forming it a little bit and getting any goop out of there, a little forming, and you can see how the plastic's also bent in, and that's not gonna work. That plastic's bent and formed back, so we're gonna have to deal with that. The other thing I want to mention is that be careful with the flex cable right there. That's the on-off button, and that's the flex cable, and you want to be careful you don't trim off that on. This is an iPad 3 which has a cover over the control flex cable, so you're good. But iPad 2s have exposed flex cable right there, so you're gonna have to be very careful. Okay, on to this shot, which is now the bezel, plastic wraparound bezel cut, and now you can see the corner a little bit formed out and cleaned. I also use a adhesive cleaner with the cotton swab to clean off the edges. It's goop, and then it will help you. Okay, so here's the plastic corner. You can see bent out, and there's the back metal frame also. Sometimes I see that bent out. So here comes the second part after the snipping action with the metal pliers. Here's 150 grit fine sandpaper. Any Home Depot should have it. And here you go. You pull back on the plastic. You got the corner form, but you have shards of aluminum sticking out. So a little bit of aluminum sanding action on and off, on and off. So we're basically sanding off. You can see the aluminum falling away right there on the paper. And you kind of work at it, and eventually here's the back side. And I also work the back side a little bit here to get it smoothed out. And I believe that's a sharp corner that I'm working on. So I basically edge that off a little bit, smooth that out. You don't want that to be there, because once you put the digitizer glass and somebody's got it in their hands, you don't want that. Here's a compressed air blower, just blowing away all those particles. You need it clean. Make sure you're after you get done with this, you blow out with compressed air all the particles. Here you see the 3M tape that I've put on there. That's what I use on installing the new digitizer. And the 3M tapes I wrap around. This is, I believe, 5mm tape that I wrap around, and then there's probably a thinner tape I use by the home button. But anyhow, there is the tape, and that's, I believe, right there is your camera. Okay, so 2 strips of it going all the way around. 3M double-sided tape works very well. It really adheres well to the digitizer once you have it placed. And the other thing is to push out on the back corner the frame, so that you get a good seating of the wraparound black metal plastic frame. So here are the corners. I'm gonna backfill those with RTV black silicone. You can see those corners. This is also impacted, but not quite as badly. And taking an X-Acto knife, I'm pointing out the corner here, and the wraparound frame. One of the things you can do is take this kind of a dental tool and pull out and push out on the wraparound frame, so that your digitizer will sit very nicely. So going around, and a little bit of cleaning action, and that corner there I'm going to put in RTV black silicone. It's a black iPad 3. And so again, kind of a round robin around the edge of the digitizer, and you can see that the 3M tape is now in place, double-sided tape. Again, that edge is going to be, that corner is going to be filled with RTV silicone. So that's there. That's a camera, and so you get a good idea. This video I've taken you pretty much a rough cut of the whole thing. Now here's the important thing. Here's your old home button that I always clean off. See the goop and dirt around it? Well, you should clean that off with something like a dental tool, so that it's going to sit properly once you put it into the new digitizer. So I'm cleaning that off, and having that, you just make sure that all of that is off. I've seen several videos on YouTube, but they don't really cover the nitty-gritty of this. So here's the home button, the back of it. That's the actual on-off button, and I've cleaned off the goop, and cleaning off the goop, old adhesive. And then there's the camera bracket, the other thing that the front facing camera bracket that will need to get cleaned off also, so that I can put new double-sided tape and get it all back together. And those are the 3 components that need to go on the digitizer, on the new digitizer. So here's the new home button. I'm sorry, the old home button put into place with new tape. And the one of the things that you need to worry about is calibration. And I use a caliper, Sumida Toyo, and 4/10 of an inch is the distance from the edge to the center of the home button copper plate. I'll show you in a second, so that you can calibrate it. Now that's what I do to get dead on. So it sits on the brass copper switches underneath on the frame of the iPad. So this is 4/10 of an inch. As you can see, this one is a little bit down. So that's showing me that, hey, look, this home button needs to go up. So I just gently push it up. Be careful. This can crack. This is a very vulnerable spot because of the cut, and this can crack your digitizer, new digitizer. You don't want that, and so that's now calibrated to 4/10 of an inch. Okay, here we are by the digitizer flex, and I always put in a double-sided tape right there so that it'll fit. Now, okay, dry run with the digitizer placed it, the unit on, and here I have just taken painter's tape, blue painter's tape, and gone around, and you can see I'm wrapping it around. So just a dry run, and home button is right there. Let's try that. Okay, click, click. Home button's working. Okay, this is a dry run test going around and testing all the corners, making sure they're seated. And I do put some tape around the digitizer flex because the flex has memory, and I bend it back before I do the final gluing down, so that I've pushed things into place and set a memory history, if you have, of things where they're gonna go. So when I do put the whole final assembly glued back down, it's fine. So I'm going around the edges, looking at this, and okay, so things are looking good, and I'm just checking out different settings of the iPad, making sure that okay, Wi-Fi, yeah, Wi-Fi is looking good. Things are checked out, volume, and what else, camera, front facing and back facing camera, sounds, all of these things need to be checked out so that your new installation is working. And also, you need to check that your camera frame is not covering your front-facing camera. Okay, so yeah, the digitizer is looking good on a dry run. And now for the final test, which is to put RTV silicone in. I've put that in, black RTV silicone, and with gloves on and a cotton swab. Cotton swab acts as a paintbrush, and I'm kind of brushing away any extra glue. You just don't want more. Here, less is more, pretty much, with the glue, and I'm just taking off the glue, making sure that the corners are all clean and off of any glue that's extra, so that the new digitizer glass on final fit will sit properly. Again, if you have any questions about this or need help, the links are below. I have my email up. Please get a hold of me through email, and I'm also on eBay with this kind of repair, so you can get me through that contact link. Anyhow, so now that I have put in the black RTV silicone and the 3M double-sided tape is taking the backing off of it, so it's ready, and here we go. Voila, the final test. The glass is on, and you can see the corner now. It's doing good. It's sitting well. One thing, you're going to need an OtterBox or Griffin type of wraparound case on an impacted corner, because that corner is exposed, and a wraparound case will really help you out. I like Griffins or OtterBoxes. They are good wraparound cases, and seem to have survived even my little son Zerar's rather drastic movements with his iPad. Anyhow, so here we are. Camera's working, camera to camera. All right, and looking good. And this is Z. Thank you.